Hello, friends, enemies, and lovers of adventure. And thank you for coming back to the Heck Flame Club. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're not doing our D&D campaign today. We're going to be talking, just me and Santi here. We're going to be talking a little bit about the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, the Amazon Prime TV show. And we want to do some stuff like this every now and again. Mostly put them up on Sundays on the podcast and on YouTube. We'll just be talking about random stuff that we like, we enjoy, sometimes movies, TV reviews, sometimes just like what's going on, we might even do some interviews with some characters, like stay tuned, and we might just do a interview with Lord Bizwah, you know what I mean? So,
I'll have to come in like full costume. War paint.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, come correct, you know what I'm saying?
Go big or gone.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so just a refresher, I'm Sam.
I'm Santi.
And we're just going to be talking, like I said, about the Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. I'm not a huge, I'm a fan of the Lord of the Rings. I watch the Hobbit movies, watch the Lord of the Rings movies. I don't know a ton about it. I'm not an expert on the Lord of the Rings at all. I enjoyed the movies. Most of the characters, I mostly remember character names. I didn't know maybe 3 character names from the movies other than Frodo and Bilbo and Samwise.
The true hero.
Yeah, I mean literally though, most Sams are the secret main character of the entire series. Mm-hmm. I don't know most of those characters from the only ones I recognize, to be honest, are Galadriel, Elrond, and I can't even the dwarf king. The prince. I guess
prince, technically. Yeah, Durin.
Yeah, Durin. But yeah, that's the only people I really recognize, name wise, from the original movies and stuff. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. There's 5 episodes out for those who don't know. Currently 5 episodes in season 1. I think they're pretty good so far. It started off a little bit slow for me personally, at first, just the first couple of episodes, but yeah, what do you think?
So you've watched episode 5?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. All right.
I do my homework, guys.
There's probably gonna be some spoilers when I talk about this, so just if you're really worried about spoilers, go watch it, and then you can come talk about it, and you can post in the comments if you agree or disagree with what I have to say, mm-hmm. or what Sam has to say. But okay, so for me, I'm not a big Lord of the Rings expert. I started reading the trilogy, and I couldn't really handle it. It was a little too slow for me, a little too much talking about grass and rocks. But I every few years I reread The Hobbit, because The Hobbit's a really nice, concise story, and I love it so much. Nice.
I regretfully have not actually read The Hobbit.
Yeah.
I've only watched, the only Hobbit I've ever seen is the trilogy, the one with Martin Sheen, I think his name is.
No,
or Martin something.
Freeman.
Martin Freeman, thank you.
Yeah.
Martin Freeman. I thought it was good personally. Because I'm not I know there's a lot of people who were talking about it was only one book, what the hell? But I personally, I enjoyed it a little bit. I tend to enjoy the things that everybody super hates. For example, I was really into Jar Jar Binks when episode 1 came out. So I enjoy the things that most people hate. But yeah, I enjoyed the Hobbit movie, but I've never seen the animated, or read the book or anything. But
right, I could do a whole nother podcast on Hobbit, for real. I think it should have been 2 movies, and for the love of God, the Battle of the 5 Armies. Why were we focused on Thorin and the White Orc and not the Battle of the Five Armies happening over here. What was that? But I digress.
Stay tuned for our episode on that. Because Santi has a lot to say about that.
I'll even do a rewatch just so I can point out all the stuff that I really... Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
All right, no. Okay, so actually, you know what? That's a good way for us to segue back into the Rings of Power, because you can see that I'm not a Lord of the Rings sycophant. Like, I'm not here to like everything that they do Lord of the Rings related. I'm going to come at it with a critical eye.
Yeah, for sure.
So that being said, one of my biggest hang-ups was a lot of people, especially when the first 2 episodes came out, they were all saying that the first episode's slow. But to me, it's not that slow. Like, I mean, you get the whole prologue leading up to the battle of like Valinor and like the elves, the what do they call them? The Valor. They are fighting Morgoth, and Sauron is there, and he's like the champion of Morgoth, and like, I mean, you even get to see one of the ring wraith like dragon things take on an eagle, and then the eagle gets lit on fire. It's metal, man. It is so cool.
It is metal, dude.
And then, like, you know, so then it goes into Galadriel and like what her whole thing is, and it's that her brother got killed by Sauron, and so she's out to get vengeance, but also she's one of the few elves that still thinks that there's a threat.
Right.
She's like basically the only elf that's like, yeah, no, the orcs aren't gone. Like, Sauron isn't gone. Like, just because we defeated them in one battle doesn't mean that they're not going to come back.
Yeah.
You know, and so we get to meet Galadriel kind of hellbent. And I mean, that led us into the cave troll fight, which was sick.
Yeah, it was.
And like the way she comes up and just slash, like slides between his legs, slash, like jumps up, slash, and then it's like comes down and like sick as my biggest problem was like all of a sudden everybody wants to quit on her. Yeah. That's the moment where I'd be like, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep going. Like our commander's a badass. Like,
yeah. I mean, I get where they got like scared. Like, I mean, I'd be like, God damn it, snow troll. You know, that'd be terrifying. And honestly, they all get, like, it's crazy because elves have crazy sick skills, but they all got their asses handed to them except for Galadriel, who just went in there, whooped ass, took names, said thank you, and then walked away. And then they're just like, oh no, this is too dangerous, it's scary. I agree with you. Like, I would have been like, oh, let's do it. Like, you know, let's go into it. But I also kind of see where they're like, you know, because like I can only imagine what else would be waiting for them, and they all got their asses handed to them except for her. You know, like they clearly can't. They don't have the muster to keep up with her. So I feel like she would have just been fine just going off on her own. She literally didn't even need them, like in my opinion. But I don't know. I'm surprised she didn't. Like when they were like, oh, we're all going back. We all decide, and it's a, you know, democracy. I feel like she would, like, if I would have her, I would have been like, all right, well, peace. Like, I'm surprised that she just didn't go on by herself, you know?
Right. And, you know, and so then we hear about there's a blight that's spreading from the Southlands where everything is dying and like the dirt seems to be foul and all this stuff. And we slowly get this reveal that the orcs are tunneling through the Southlands and expanding because they can't be out in the sun. Which, you know, I guess I never put that together. I never, like, I don't know, maybe that's been a thing, but you know, it also makes sense that, you know, that's why Mordor is just like constantly in shadows, clouds and shit. they're
Makes
probably
sense.
leading up to taking care of that.
Yeah.
Spoilers for episode 5. I'll just kind of try and build up to that.
Yeah.
But
We'll
like
get there eventually, guys.
right. But we get to see Andenir or something like that, and Andenin, I don't know,
Yeah. That's the
the
one. If you're looking at me, buddy, I don't know. We don't got the time for me to Google all this crap.
there's the elf dude, the
Yeah,
really
yeah.
hot elf guy. He's
Hell yeah.
so fine.
So hot.
And his human girlfriend is hot as hell too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I would love to watch them make babies. I'll take that fanfic right now. Like,
Whoever has that, send that to Santi.
yeah. You just gotta deep fake their faces on some people. Like, I'll watch that documentary. But like to me, episode 1 laid down a lot of groundwork. They showed us the Harfoots, and we got to kind of see how their society works. They're nomadic. They travel a lot, and between seasons they move around, and basically all their shit kind of can fit into carts and stuff. And I guess that they're all blending together, so I'm sure that not all of this is going to be episode 1. I'm going to try and just kind of go through all of them. But like, as far as episode 1 goes, I felt like the art direction was great. I felt like all the architecture was phenomenal. The way it was shot looked awesome. There was only like one CGI shot that I felt like was pretty lame, and that was where Galadriel's like climbing that ice, and she like has to jump and jam her knife in, and then she looks up at the camera, and the camera's like looking down at her. That was the one like really like cheap looking effect, but everything else has been incredibly well done, and I felt like if you feel like episode 1 is slow, then you probably feel like Star Wars: A New Hope is slow, because it's like there's a lot of character development, a lot of world building, and then there's just key points that happen to kind of pique your interest as you go along, and it ends with the stranger flying down from the heavens, which my theory is that it's Gandalf.
Yeah.
Which I can use the stranger segue into episode 2 if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing I was going to say is like I thought the same thing. Like eventually, like I think partway through episode 2, I figured, or I thought he was at least. I didn't think he was like Gandalf right away, but I thought he was a wizard of some kind. And for like literally, it was like literally the simplest. It wasn't even like any kind of like. My brain wasn't working at like IQ 1000 for a single moment. I literally just went, I bet you this is one of the wizards. Why, brain? Because we haven't seen any of the wizards yet. God, that's simple but sturdy answer. Sturdy reasoning.
Exactly.
But literally, I was just like, oh, this might be a wizard. We haven't seen them anywhere yet. God, you're dumb.
As soon as he hit the ground, I was like, okay, clearly this is one of the Astari. Yeah. They're showing us when
your brain working on the episode.
They're showing us, there's a song referenced where I don't remember the creator's name, but basically he sings a song to create these wizards to send down to Middle Earth to help stop the evil, like help save humanity from succumbing to the darkness that is Morgoth and Sauron and the orcs and everything. He basically sends them down. They're supposed to essentially be fallen stars, which is fucking dope.
That's sick.
So immediately I was like, oh fuck, okay. But when I remember when it happened, I was like, okay, I hope it's Gandalf, because Gandalf is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah.
like hardcore. And so by the second episode, when they start showing Poppy, like, you know, trying to communicate with him and stuff like that, and you got to see his face a little bit, and he's got the gray hair, even though it's not like the exact same. He's obviously a little bit younger. It's 3,000 years before the Lord of the Rings trilogy or The Hobbit. So, you know, there you go. He's gonna be a little bit younger. But what really like gave it to like basically confirmed it for me was when Poppy comes up behind him and like touches him and is like, "Hey," and he freaks out and he turns and he's just like, "Ah! Ah!" And like the whole like forest kind of comes, leans in towards him and gets dark, and it reminded me of when Bilbo. I almost said hobo. When Bilbo is like you just want the ring for yourself, and he's just like, "Do not take me for a thief," and he just like towers over him, and all of Bag End starts to creak and lean in.
Yeah,
it was like right there, click. There's no way this is not Gandalf. Now,
and my simple ass is still like, we haven't seen any wizards yet.
Yeah.
I bet he uses magic.
And then
I'm just here for the scenery.
Which is good. That's a good way to enjoy it. Yeah. But like I just right there I got teary eyed.
Yeah.
Because I was so excited. Because like to me it seems like it's Gandalf, but his personality's still downloading.
Yeah.
He doesn't speak anybody's language yet. He only speaks Astari. You know, he doesn't understand where he is or why he's there yet. And I'll just stick with that storyline for a little bit. So like eventually Poppy kind of is just trying to balance her home life and taking care of this stranger, and eventually the stranger's revealed to her people. And like it's during a scene where we get to like really kind of understand a little bit more about their society, and they talk about the people that they lost during their last migration. And they actually, you know, they like say, you know, who it was, taken by a pack of wolves, you know, so and so lost in a landslide. And that's when we cut to Poppy's friend. I can't remember, or no.
Yeah, Poppy's friend.
Nori. So it's
Nori's friend.
Nori's friend. So Nori finds a stranger. Poppy is the one trying to tell her, like, don't mess around with the stranger. Like, you know.
We got there eventually, you guys. Yeah. You can get out of the comments now. We appreciate your help, though.
So like, you know, we find out that that's why Poppy's kind of like, you know, maybe a little bit more insecure, a little bit worrier, you know. Hanging on to Nori and her family as much as possible. You know, and so like, and that actually, you know, that whole storyline leads to this scene. So in episode 2, there's a part where they're talking to the stranger, and he uses the fireflies to like lay out a constellation, and that's sick as hell.
That was dope.
It was so cool. But then the fireflies fell and they died.
R.I.P. Butt fires. Anyway, go.
Butt fires? which a couple people pointed out that's their biggest reason why they don't think that's Gandalf.
Yeah, because he killed something.
Right.
When you put that much magic, because he breathed magic into them to control them to, you know, make the constellation. Putting that much magic into such a tiny vessel, it's probably going to overload it. You know what I mean? Like,
burst their little heart.
Yeah. Aw. Give him little heart attacks. Yeah. Like that one.
Tiny little baby heart attack.
They're just like, I'm coming, Elizabeth. But, oh my god. Oh, poor buggies. Little fire butts. I mean, yeah, like putting that much I mean, it was most likely on accident. Like I almost guarantee you, like, I can't say for absolute fact just because I'm not a writer on the show. I don't know any of the writers, and I can't like for sure say that he felt bad about it and didn't mean to. But I almost guarantee that he felt bad about it and didn't mean to.
But that's the best part. Is episode 5 we get to see that.
Yeah.
There's a part where Nori is explaining to like she's just talking to the stranger. Mm-hmm. You know, just trying to teach him their language by just like bullshitting with him. And she starts talking about like, we migrate because it gets cold, and so we head to like, warmer lands and stuff like that. And, but there's all sorts of perils. And he's like, peril? And she's like, danger, like things that hurt us, like wolves and all this stuff. And then he goes, I'm peril.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
you're not peril, buddy.
He's like a toddler, and he's starting to figure it out. And he's like, I hurt things.
Yeah.
And so you're right. He does have a soul. He does feel bad. And like, I don't know. I just, maybe some people would find this whole journey a little bit slow, but it keeps hitting for me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, like the only episodes I personally found slow were like maybe the first couple, kinda like. Only because I didn't it was mostly just because I didn't know the significance of most of the stuff. So that's partially why it was mostly slow for me.
Fair.
The possible Gandalf that's our theory, but I'm gonna go ahead and call him Gandalf. Right. Our possible Gandalf falling from the sky and all that. My only thought at first when I first saw it was like Sauron. Duh. What else would it be? It's fire all around him. Sauron, duh. But then, as time goes on, I'm like, probably not Sauron.
Right.
At some point I was like, probably not Sauron. Like, I didn't get to the Gandalf, bit. I'm just going, that's your theory and I'm going off it. But, I didn't think Gandalf at all. I just thought that's definitely got to be a wizard or something. Mm. But, yeah, I felt like the first episode was a little slow just because it was a lot, I don't know. For me, it's a lot of talking. You know what I mean?
Right. And it's all the world building exposition.
Right. And again, I didn't know the significance of most of it. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just going Again, just enjoying the surroundings. You know what I'm saying? Right. But yeah.
I'll take this as an opportunity to go into the Elven Watchtower. So we get introduced to a human village that is near an elven watchtower, and these elves go out on patrol. And the humans have issues with this because they're constantly getting policed. We basically find out that humans, there were some humans that sided with Sauron, and the elves are wary of that. They're trying to suss anybody out that might be forging weapons for the orcs to come back and stuff like that. And so, humans are a little bit annoyed. They're kind of reticent towards these elves that come in and ask questions and look at shit and then bounce for a while. And and it doesn't help that elves kind of tend to be a little emotionally vacant. So they just aren't connecting on a level. Yeah. And personally, I love that. I think it's so cool. This is far enough back where, to me, it just kind of makes sense to have these different races sort of keep separate and just kind of look out for their own.
Yeah.
And so that whole dichotomy is really interesting, and seeing how quickly people get a little suspicious of the one lady that's getting kind of close with them. I can't remember her friggin' name right now. Her son's Leo, right? Or something like that.
I think so.
Anyway. She's hot, though. She's the only chick in the village with a full mouth of teeth. You know what I mean? Super fine.
Super fly.
like between her and the elf, like they start to kind of figure out like there's some weird shit going on. And then we get that really cool scene of her kid in the house.
God, it was so dope, dude. Oh my god, that was actually fucking sick. Like when you mentioned the rats, I totally took it at face value. I'm like, yeah, they got fucking rats. That sucks. You know, like that sucks. He's like, I can hear them scratching at night. And then when the actual scene was going down, and like you could hear the and he was like, these fucking rats, and he started to get mad. And I was like, after a couple of seconds, I'm like, oh, bro, that's not rats. Oh, bro, that's not rats. And then he started, like, beating the crap out of him. I'm like, bro, don't. No. Stop. You don't understand what you're doing. And then I'm like, I knew it wasn't rats. That's not a rat eye, my guy.
And, like, the fight scene that comes is brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Brutal. I mean, first off, high five to them for doing practical makeup on the orcs instead of going CGI.
I agree.
That makes it the hugest difference for me.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, there's a point where they get the dude strung up by a chain. Like she ends up like hacking his head off and just like slam it down on the table to show everybody, like, look, motherfuckers, I'm not making this up. There's some shady shit happening.
Dude, that was bad.
Right?
She's just like, follow me to the elf tower if you want to live. I'm just like, yes. Do you want to live?
You know, and then like she goes back to another village with the other elf, and everybody's been kidnapped, and all they find are these tunnels, you know, and it was just it's really an interesting plot line. When the elf goes down into the tunnels and he starts like, you know, crawling through, like, that's a big fuck no for me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I don't want to do that shit. That's scary as hell, especially when he has to like crawl, like combat crawl through tiny little spaces.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm a fat dude. I get stuck.
Yeah. Honestly, I personally, I went under a house one time, helped a friend with his foundation and stuff. We had to fix it a little bit, but he asked me to help him. I said, screw it. We got like these hazard, whatever, those jumpsuit things on.
Yeah.
Went underneath his house. We were under there for maybe, I don't know how long, 10 minutes maybe. And then after a while, I couldn't, I started to breathe heavy. My chest was hurting so much, like from my heart just pound. I couldn't be in there anymore because it was bugs and
Damn.
it was water. It's like flooding because it's
shit.
It's snow. It rains like 6 months out of the year, or 9 months out of the year, and so yeah, there's like some like mud and water and bugs and it was just like there's like maybe this much space that I was just crawling through and just no, thank you. And like when he was going through there, I'm just like,
yeah, dude.
Yeah, I would be like, I don't care about duty. I don't care about these humans. I don't care about nothing. I'm going to fucking home. I'm gonna go home.
My big note moment is when he swims. When he's already underground and then he swims under the water.
Oh no, thank you.
Like, fuck that.
Dude, no thank you.
Like, because you don't know how long it's going to take before you find a spot to put your head up.
Yeah. Dude, no. People, look, okay. Honestly, guys, people die that way, okay?
Yeah.
Just a serious warning.
Like, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, there are actual, like, underwater cave systems.
Okay, maybe
Please.
not 9 times out of 10.
I mean, a lot of times. We don't know the real statistics, but I'd go with 9 times out of 10.
Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, man. Unless you really, really, really know what you're doing, really have everything figured out, safety equipment, everything like that, know where the air pockets are. Don't swim through underwater caves as much as you can unless you got the equipment for it.
I wonder how many people actually end up in that situation where they have to.
Literally. Oh my God, dude. If you find yourself where you have to, well, good luck and stop watching this video and get to swimming, sucker. No, I'm kidding. Anyway. But yeah, so that was a big note for sure.
Right, and then he's sitting there watching his bubbles are kind of bloop, bloop, like something's following him.
Yeah. Oh no.
And then you get that great shot of the hands just
coming out of the shadow. And
It's so cool.
Like he's just backing up and think he's against the wall and just whoosh, and just oh no, thank you, dude.
So dope.
It was sweet.
I think one of the best shots in the entire series, though, comes with Galadriel and her storyline. So in episode 2, at the end of episode 1, she's basically been shut the hell up. Like the Elven King is like, it's all good. Like, thanks for trying,
Yeah, dude,
but
so dismissive.
it's time for you to calm down. And so they throw her on a boat, and they start sending her back to Valinor, which is essentially like Elven heaven.
Yeah.
They're like, you're gonna fuck off Valinor, and you're never gonna come back. So just be like happy, yay, you graduated.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
But it's like they're just trying to shut her up because she's stressing everybody out.
Yeah.
You know, and so you get that whole buildup of her like deciding to just jump from the ship.
Yeah.
In the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
And it was like
in the middle of the boat being like literally in the middle of the boat being taken to Valinor. She literally was like, they're like, hold hands, here we go, everybody.
We're passing through the veil.
Yeah, and she's like, and I'm just like, what?
Yeah, like, what are you going to do now?
Literally. Like, that was the one decision I thought, because, like, I was like, when he was like, oh, you're going to go to Valinor, I'm like, she's not getting on that boat. And she got on the boat, I'm like, bitch, why are you on the boat? We know you're not going to Valinor. Right. We know this. Well, yeah, and she jumped off, and I'm like, now what?
Yeah.
Like, literally, you're just going to swim in the ocean? Silly.
Well, she did.
Silly goose. And she did.
She swam for quite a while, and then found some humans that had been attacked. Mm-hmm. They're visibly paranoid. Mm-hmm. They don't trust her at all, and they've constructed a raft out of what remained of their ship. Mm-hmm. And that's this is okay. Legit, my favorite sequence of the whole thing is when they start talking about, you know, there's a worm, like a sea worm, sea monster, and then the sea monster like comes out of the fog.
Oh my god, that was incredible!
Right?
That was absolutely my favorite shot of that episode, because literally, like, and it put the question in my mind when that happened. Like, out of the shadows just come that, you know, that's those sails, and they're like, oh, it's a ship, we're saved. And then you could see the fins behind the sails and in front. For a split second, I was like, was that a happy accident for that creature? Or was that on purpose somehow? Was he like smart enough and apex predator enough to be like, oh, hey, I got this thing on my back. I'm just going to keep it because they're going to, you know, be lulled into, compliance basically.
Right.
Chill. But like, either way, it was phenomenal. It was freaking fantastic.
So the sea monster comes in, it like takes out the raft. Galadriel jumps away from it, and as she's swimming away, the camera does this genius move where it's like pulling away from her and she's swimming towards it, but it like dips under the water and you see the sea monster moving behind her. Oh, yeah. And it looked so real.
Yeah.
And then the camera pops back up and you just see the fin above the water.
Yeah.
And then it pops back down and you see the tail disappear.
Yeah.
And then it comes back up, and that's when she meets she met Halbrand on the raft, but he's separated himself. And so the two of them end up in Numenor. Mm-hmm. And Numenor is a fishing based economy. They're all about naval prowess. Mm-hmm. They try and have an efficient navy that knows what they're doing and stuff. We get a couple of interesting things. Okay, so this is one of the plot lines that bothers me is Halbrand decides that he wants to start smithing. Mm. He wants to try and build himself a little niche in this new society. He's one of the men from the Southlands, but now he's found himself in Numenor, and he wants to start a life. So he goes to the smith, and they're like, "Yeah, you're not gonna smith anything for us unless you have a guild pin."
Yeah.
So he goes to the bar, and he's trying to figure out how to steal a guild pin from a dude that lives on an island with a very limited population.
Yep.
And he even makes friends. Like, he even gets them all happy. They're all drinking together.
Yeah.
Why not just ask for a fucking job?
Yeah, literally at that point, just be like, hey, man, like, I'm looking for a job. Like, I know, because they had, at first, when they saw him there, they were like, hey, what are you doing? This is our place. You're drinking our beer. What are you doing? And then eventually, by like after, however long, he literally was just like, oh, like, we're buddies now. And like, he dipped out, and then just took his freaking, Smithers pin thing, whatever.
Right.
And it's just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, you had your in.
Right.
You literally, like, you were networking. You were doing it. You were doing exactly what you were supposed to do.
100%.
You were making friends with the crew, like with the boss, with the with all you're making friends with your coworkers outside of work. Like, it's perfect. You're literally doing what everybody wishes they could do when they start a job, or looking for a job. And like, oh, I'm already in with like literally the entire freaking operation.
Right.
And then he just goes and screws it all up, and then, like goes and gets his ass kicked at first, and then goes and whoops all their asses. Like,
again, like another brutal fight.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because there's been a couple of times where I've seen people comment that, like, this feels a little bit more brutal and stuff. And really, in comparison to the Lord of the Rings movies, there's a lot of brutal violence that happens in those movies. Most of it happens to orcs.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how you get away with it. Yeah. It's just like the way that Star Wars gets away with a lot of their most gruesome violence is when it's done to a robot.
Yeah, they're decapitating robots and cutting their arms off, and but you're not even seeing like motor oil spill out. You're just seeing sparks happen, and then it's like, oh, the thing falls down. Like, yeah, it's what all like tons of movies and all that do. They have to dehumanize or unhumanize the enemy, so that way, nobody feels bad that they're killing people. Just like, we don't think about, well, Batman and Spider-Man, all these people, they're killing people. People aren't supposed to be knocked out for 3 days. More than 10 seconds, I think. Yeah, right. Like, otherwise, it's a lot of problems. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't feel more brutal to me. It just feels, it feels like the net is cast a little wider for violence to be done upon, I guess,
I mean, I guess you could argue that I don't remember blood spattering onto the camera.
Right.
Like the lens in Lord of the Rings. So there's that. Mm-hmm. But still, like, I wouldn't say that this series is more brutal. I would just say that,
then again, it is like, what, a decade later, and,
right.
Consumer, people like things a little differently these days than they did back, when Lord of the Rings first came out. You know what I mean?
And it's streaming.
Yeah.
So you don't really have to worry about what it's rated.
Yeah.
You can kind of just, like, operate in this gray zone between R and PG-13.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's what it is. I mean, I think it's cool. I'm interested to see what kind of stuff we see in battle. Mm-hmm. We already got to see that eagle catch fire, which was a highlight for me.
Sick. Yeah.
It looked like something you would paint on the side of a van. You know what I mean? It was just fucking dope. Anyway, but he ends up in jail. Galadriel starts poking around. She finds out that the Queen Regent is the daughter of the king, and the king hasn't been seen. Kind of like how they were hiding away Queen Elizabeth before she died. He's been hiding in his tower, coughing up a lung here and there, and just like, giving way to COPD, which really sucks. But, it's what happens. So this actually leads right into a complaint that comes multiple times on the podcast that I follow, and that they don't like the pacing of these first, like, especially the first 3 episodes, but like even the 4th one, they were still kind of bitching. And one of the things that they complained about was that first they complained that Galadriel was one-dimensional and solely driven by revenge and all this stuff. And they didn't really like that. But she's also young. She's essentially supposed to be in her, like, mid to late 20s.
Right.
Which, when I was in my mid to late 20s, I was a way bigger asshole than I am now.
Oh, yeah.
When I was in my early 20s, I was the biggest asshole of my entire fucking life.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, and a lot of that has to do with just, like, how you feel at that time of life. You're invincible. Mm-hmm. You're solely driven by your emotions, and you're still developing, mm-hmm. and you're still growing as a person. Mm-hmm. So that's where Galadriel is right now. And so, but then we get this really cool shot of her on horseback with Isildur's dad, which I never remember his name, but he's like my, like, number 3 hottie.
Yeah.
Like, fuck Isildur. Isildur is just a generic looking dude. I don't give a fuck. His dad, though? Ooh, daddy. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Salt
He's
and pepper daddy.
Fucking hot. I love his hair.
Yeah.
And so, like, they're riding on this beach, and they go to a slow motion shot, and the camera's just kind of following the horses, and then you get to see Galadriel smiling.
Yeah, I love that.
And the podcasters that I follow, literally like probably 4 out of the 5 were like, I don't understand why we had this shot. It just seemed like a giant waste of time. Like,
no, it's literally giving her the piece that everybody has been saying she needs for, right. Trying to get her into Valinor, all that. They're like, find your peace. We're finally in peace. Find yours. She found it.
Right.
She, like, literally, I knew it the moment. She was all, like, pissy, all like, I need to get out of here. I'm going to steal a boat. And he's like, and she, when he tells her about the library, and he's like, it's only a day's ride from here. And she goes, right. I'm like, oh, yeah. I was like, as soon as she did that, I'm like, go get your ride on, girl.
Yeah.
Go get your ride on, girl. You need this right now. And
secretly, she's one of those pony girls.
Oh, yeah. Come on, dude. Horses are pretty cool. I've never been on one. I've seen a few, but, like, they seem like they're fun to ride.
I've ridden quite a few.
Nice.
Growing up, my aunt had horses that I'd always go hang out with.
That's cool.
Dude, like, legit, I just go in the pasture and just hang out with them. Just talk.
That's sweet. That's dope. But yeah, like, it was like a moment. It was her moment of peace, and she needed that. Like, truly, I feel like she needed that. You know what I mean? God knows how long it's been since she's seen a horse, let alone ridden one, since having to leave and all that. Like, yeah. I thought it was amazing, and it was perfectly, like, I loved it. I don't know. Yeah, it's silly for people to not. It's dumb.
Well, and like I said, like, one of their complaints is that they just feel that she's one-dimensional, but then they're going to complain about taking a moment to show something else of her.
Yeah, another dimension.
So I was just like, what the fuck do you want? What do you want?
That's the thing, man. Some people just don't know what they want. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, they have, like, I don't know, in my opinion, like, the thing is like, that's why, I mean, it's not why I'm not, like, a massive fan. I'm a massive fan of certain things, and yeah, like, I'm a big fan, clearly, of anime. Yes, the Dragon Ball Revolution movie was god-awful, and stop it. Stop it, studios. Stop it right now. But, the Death Note movie was good until, freaking... L pulled out a gun. Spoilers, don't watch it. If you like Death Note, do not. He literally... Anyway, that's another podcast for another day. The point is that, like, I am a fan of things. I do get, frustrated, and I do have... I personally, sometimes have a little bit of an idea of what I think would be cool to see,
right.
Going into these things. And if I don't see them, I'm not disappointed, if it's, like, bad, then I'm like, my idea was a little bit better. But,
right.
If it's good, I'm like, oh, that was way better, than what I had thought. And I, going into this show, I had no expectations whatsoever, again, because I'm not, like, a super duper fan, but, like, I don't know. I think the people who are mad at literally everything, every decision that's made, they have an idea in their head of what they want it to be, and they're mad that it's just that they're not in the writer's room. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Like, don't get mad. Like, if you're gonna get mad about it, like, screw it. Like, make your own version that's going to be awful and janky and like the $2 bin version of Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, but do it yourself if you want. If you want your story to be told that badly. Shoot. Take that, sucker.
Well, I'll go ahead and talk about this then. Mm-hmm. One of the things that has popped up on social media.
Just one quick thing is I kind of in episode 3, I did appreciate that we got our introvert anthem from the Half-Foots. The Harfoots. Yeah. When they're traveling, their mantra, nobody knows our troubles and nobody wants to. Like, that's the introvert anthem right there. Nobody knows their problems and nobody wants to. It's like, I'm like, I feel that. Right. It's not true. Tell people when you're going through stuff, but I felt that. I was just like, that's so funny, dude. I was laughing so hard. They're just like, that's all they say as they're traveling. They're just like, nobody knows our problems and nobody wants to. It's so funny. Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, I just thought it was so funny.
I think that's actually a really good example of carrying on some of the humor that Tolkien put into his writing.
I agree.
The Harfoots are like an early version of the Hobbits, and the Hobbits are supposed to be like the country folk of particularly Ireland.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to just live simple lives that are centered around just good food and good spirits, and just hanging out and just being
happy.
Yeah. And so we get this really cool in episode 5 we get the really cool montage of Poppy singing that song, and then you get shots of where they're traveling on the map, and then they show you the landscapes and stuff. Oh my God, that whole sequence felt the most like the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings out of everything that they've shown. And I'm not complaining. I'm not saying that this series so far, 5 episodes in, feels like it could lead straight into the Lord of the Rings trilogy that Peter Jackson did. The design of the armor, the set designs, all the architecture, everything looks so much like the Peter Jackson trilogy. I don't know if they're doing that on purpose. Mm-hmm. I don't know that this is supposed to be in that same canon, but it could be, and that's what I appreciate about it.
Yeah,
I'm willing to set aside that question and not worry about it because it's so similar that it's like, okay, either way, either you guys cut it off after the 5 seasons that they want to do. That's what they're saying that they're going to do. And I don't know that it's going to cover the actual Lord of the Rings trilogy either. I don't know. So far, from what I've heard, it's not. Mm-hmm. From what I've heard, it's going to go until Isildur and Elrond are in Mount Doom, and Isildur refuses to throw the ring in and stop all the bullshit, and then we're probably gonna leave it there. Maybe see him get murdered, and then see the ring go dormant in the river. But otherwise, if they wanted to just go, okay, surprise, now we're gonna redo the 3 books as a series, I'd be down. Yeah. So far, it all looks great, and I'm stoked. But
honestly, I think that would be kind of cool. A little bit more of a what people are saying, gorier, all that kind of stuff, version of Lord of the Rings would be probably pretty sick. That would be dope.
I don't know. I mean, in terms of the story, Peter Jackson he did such an amazing job adapting those. Not that I have a ton of knowledge about the trilogy in terms of the books, but to me, there's such a concise retelling of that story, and there's so much so many details in there to just keep you munching away like you're at a buffet. But like, you know, still you don't get bored.
Yeah.
And there's no filler. And so I'm afraid that if they decided to do a series based on the 3 books, then there'd be some filler.
Yeah.
Which happened with The Hobbit. And it is gross. Yeah. I don't really want to see that. But okay, so I do want to talk about the dwarven storyline a little bit. So Elrond is basically like told like, hey, we're gonna send you to our master smith. It's like Calibrimbo, if I remember right, is the name. I you know what's funny is I actually already knew the name when they brought it up because I've glanced at, I haven't like extensively read the Silmarillion. I've thumbed through because it's essentially a textbook.
Right.
It feels really similar to reading the Bible. Yeah. And so Celebrimbor,
Calimbiblo.
Yeah, something like that. He pops up in that. They also mention him in the Lord of the Rings movies. But he forges like all of the like elven swords and designs all that shit, right? And now he's got this new idea to basically like bestow power upon the elves and to like make them more powerful and all this shit, right? And he's got this idea and Elrond is like, okay, well, shit, why don't we talk to the dwarves? And let's see if they can help us. So he goes to the dwarves, and we get to see Khazad-dûm like before it got ruined, and it's still a bustling city under the mountains and like in the Misty Mountains, and I fucking love it. I love it so much. All of those shots with just everything moving in the background and the foreground, and like just this living, breathing, moving city of dwarves is sick as fuck.
Yeah, and like the big old beams of light just like moving throughout the cavern. That made so much sense. I was like, yeah,
so
that's genius.
cool.
Yeah, that's so smart. Yeah, it's like being moved with like freaking mirrors and stuff. I was like, that's genius. That's so smart.
Durin.
Yeah.
Durin is legit probably my second favorite character.
Yeah.
In the whole series so far. I love him. And his wife.
It's amazing.
Shit.
So cool.
What's her name?
I wish I could remember.
Lisa. It's like Lisa, but it's different.
Liza?
No.
Well, anyway.
Anyway. Anyway. So that actually leads me to some comments that I saw on Facebook and Twitter. And it was people trying to point out the science of why a black dwarf doesn't make sense.
Oh my god.
They're like, dwarfs live under the earth, and so they're not exposed to the sunlight. So they wouldn't have melanin like that. And I'm like, it's a fucking dwarf.
It's made up characters. They're made like, come on, guys.
You're bitching about the skin color of a mythical creature.
While I'm looking at her dress slit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she was showing some thigh when she was walking out like at that dinner scene, and she was in that dress. I was like, damn. I was like, yo. She's fine. I'm just like, yo.
And she's adorable as fuck. Her personality is so fucking cute. Her chemistry amazing. With Durin is incredible.
Yeah.
But like I said, like if you really have a problem with dwarves being black or mermaids being black,
or elves or whomever,
or elves being like, go outside, touch some grass
for the first time in 20 years.
Like,
fucking get over yourself. Get over all your bullshit. Okay, like. And we're not just two like white guys fucking complaining. Like we're two biracial, people. I'm half white, half Mexican. Also half Mexican, half white. Our dads, are both Mexican. My great grandparents came to America from Mexico. My whole, like, I would have killed to see a Latino elf or a Latino dwarf or like a Latino human in the freaking, like anybody who like other than, just a Shilda or whatever his name is. And sorry, I forgot already. Shildo. Dude, Shildo Baggins.
when people don't believe that I'm half Mexican, I show them my dad's green card. Okay? My dad hopped the border.
Yeah.
He's never going to see this, thank God, because I actually stole this trying to get him deported. And it didn't work. Anyway.
So funny.
I probably should have just called ICE, but I was young.
Jeez.
Anyway, so representation matters. I definitely a lot of times get stuck in this mode where I tell somebody like it's a mythical creature. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it does matter. It just doesn't matter in the way that these people think.
Right.
There's no reason for us to sit here and bitch about it when all it's gonna do is let a couple of like little black kids or little brown kids go, hey, that character looks like me. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And like, it's always white people that are sitting there going, they're just woke. It's just woke bullshit. They're just pandering to the left.
Woke culture is getting out of control.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, what are you losing out on?
Go eat ass. Yeah.
How is it affecting your life? And if you really want to bitch about like their subterranean beings, dwarves are subterranean, they wouldn't have melanin. How do you explain Drugar, which are literally jet black in skin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's insane. Like I agree with you 100%. Like representation 100% matters. Like just a quick thing. Like to be honest, there, I know you're not really on TikTok that much, and not sponsored or nothing, but there's this one TikTok video I came across where a bunch of kids, Latino kids, were lining up to meet the first Latina in space, the first Latina astronaut in space. And she, astronauts go through so much training. They're scientists in their own right. So this is a brilliant woman, brave as hell, braver than I could ever be. I get terrified of the open ocean. Okay, I couldn't go into space.
Because my brain tells me that there's
a sea monster down there.
You're gonna get me.
My brain. Yeah, thanks to the Meg, Jaws, and now Lord of the Rings, I can't go past where my feet can't touch the floor in the ocean, which is pretty far for me. But like sometimes I forget myself, and I'm like, oh god, there's nothing in there anymore. Yeah, I start to flow. I freak out. So anyway, this woman is much smarter, much more brave, all of that than I could ever be. And there's all these Latino kids just, dressed as astronauts.
That's so cool.
And like full like astronaut gear or like just the jumpsuit, and like they're just smiling and excited. And never once in my entire life growing up, and I grew up in Southern California, I had a lot of Latino friends. I had a lot of friends and a lot of family members, a lot of Latino family members and stuff just kind of around. And not once did anybody, whenever anybody asked what we wanted to do growing up, whenever anybody asked anything, I truly don't remember a single one being like, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be president. I want to be a politician of any kind. I want to be anything other than what we saw. Like, yeah, we saw some Latino doctors. Some of them want to be doctors, things like that. But like now kids can be like, I want to be an astronaut, and they can actually see themselves and actually like truly know that they can actually become an astronaut one day. Like that really, like they're not going to look at a list of astronauts, like me and my friends used to look at lists of presidents, in the back of our history books in school, and just see a sea of white faces, and just go, and we'd be like, yeah, I want to be president when I grow up. You know, like, fat chance, son, you know? But now, you know, Obama, you know, but that was before Obama, and then Obama happened in, 2008, and that changed everything, you know? Black kids could, were finally like, yeah, I can be actually be president, you know? Because, like, we would literally be like, yeah, we'll be president one day, look in the back of the book and literally be like, maybe not, you know, because look at all those white guys, you know? So, like, it was kind of the same thing. Like, you know, you look at a list of astronauts and go, maybe not, you know, because I think there's maybe like one or two, black women or something that went to space. And, I'm sorry if I'm missing out on some other, folks and ethnicities and stuff that went to space, but like, I'm not a huge, expert on astronauts or anything like that, but like, I just, it's important it may not be important for you. It may not be important for your kids, and it may not even be important for your grandkids or your cousins or your nieces, but out there, it is important for somebody's kids, for somebody's, like, there was another TikTok I saw where this, and I'm sorry to keep bringing these up, but it's just, these keep flooding my mind where it's just like, kid after kid after kid, just like literally just they saw the reveal of Ariel, the first Black Mermaid, the live action, and literally lighting up, just like, like
she looks like me.
Yeah, literally so many kids, like, she's black, she's brown, she's dark, she's like me.
Yeah.
Like, literally so many little girls, even a couple, like some videos, like, I'm sure there's a lot more little boys and stuff than they showed in the videos, but there was a few, little boys, a lot of little girls were just like, they look like me. And like, just the elation and the happiness on their faces. Why would you want to take that away from them? You fucking animal.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? Like, seriously. Stop.
But science.
Oh, fuck you and your science. It's a fucking mermaid. It's a fucking dwarf. It's a fucking elf. Fuck. Just, who cares, dude? Just let people have what they... Jesus wasn't white, man. Right? He was Middle Eastern. He was probably fucking either brown or black. He was not white. You know what I'm saying? Like, not at all.
Definitely brown.
Yeah, and like,
brown.
it's insane. Like, anyway. I mean, it's insane to me, the how much people care about the skin color of made up creatures, that, like, in a negative way, you know what I mean?
Right.
It amazes me that people are like angry about it. It's insane. But yeah, I mean, I think like I said, I think I keep wanting to say, every time I go to say the princess, the dwarven prince name, I keep wanting to say Dramar, or one of our players, one of our characters from our D&D campaign, which you should check out on Twitch and on YouTube on Mondays, or on Tuesdays. Yeah, so I keep wanting to say Dramar every time. I'm just like, Dramar, no. But yeah, anyway, Doran. Yeah, his wife is hot. She came, that cocktail dress, bro. I was like, yo. Come here. Come out of my phone. Come here. So hot. Want to touch the honey. All right, we're done being men now.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So far now, like we've got multiple plot lines that are going. Mm-hmm. So we have Durin has discovered Mithril, and then because they've discovered Mithril, now they have Elrond in on the secret. He's taken a vow to not tell his higher ups about it. Mm-hmm. But turns out that the Elven King already knows about Mithril. Yeah. And he already had a theory that they were gonna find it.
I kind of saw that coming. Like, when Durin first showed, like, when he first revealed the Mithril, and Elrond was like so amazed and everything, and he swore not to say anything. I'm like, there's going to become a point at some point in the next couple episodes or the next episode. I didn't think it was going to be so soon in like the next episode, but I was like, in the next few episodes, there's going to be a point where you're going to have to. I thought for sure he was just going to betray Durin, and like that was a whole the whole friction between dwarves and elves. I was like for sure. I was like, oh. Duh, like I see where this is going, and then like when Elrond came clean, and then they agreed to like work on it together. I'm like, oh well, now I don't see where this is going. Right, this is very interesting, and
I love that whole scene. Like first off, Durin spinning this bullshit story about this table that they're eating at, and how it was only ever meant to be used religiously and shit.
That's awesome.
And then everyone's like, dude, you made that up about the table, didn't you? He's like, we've been wanting a table for years. Like, that's so funny. That was so funny. But then
that was great.
But then Elrond comes clean. And he's like, look, I didn't know that they had sent me to find this, but they wanted me to come and find the Mithril, because using Mithril as a source to keep us alive is apparently a thing. Which, if you watch the trilogy, like that's the pendant that all the elves have around their neck.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's
like
essentially light from the stars of Valinor, essentially, and it keeps their souls intact and immortal. And so, like, you get this great scene of Elrond being like, look, like, the fate of my people rests in your hands. And
say it again. The fate of what rests in his hands. I love that scene, dude.
So funny. Dude, I'm telling you, like, he's like my favorite character. I mean, I would say that
give me the mate and give it to me raw. When he said that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're right.
But I just that popped into my head. I was just like, phrasing, bro. Sorry, go on.
He wants you to raw dog it.
I was like, I knew this is coming.
That's a really interesting plot point. Like, I'm wondering if it's gonna lead to the fall of Khazad-dûm. Like, wouldn't that be cool to see? I mean, we're a ways away from that happening. So, but again, they're gonna do 5 seasons. We've got the little kid Leo or Leon or whatever his name is. He found this like necro sword that like he has to like stab himself, and then the blood forms the blade. And like the old man tells him that it's like a blade of Sauron and all this shit. And then he takes a bunch of the humans to go and like pledge fealty to the orcs, which the orcs they're trying to dig out and lay out their land. They're trying to claim Mordor, which isn't even a country yet.
Yeah,
it's just the Southlands. But they're gonna carve this area out. And then you have Adar, who's apparently like an elf that has sided with them.
Yeah.
He's making moves to darken the sky, so that they have the ability to be out and about
all the
time. You have Numenor. They got rallied by Galadriel, and now Halbrand is helping to move them to go stop this spread in the Southlands. You have the elves are aware that this blight is spreading throughout Middle Earth and is actually poisoning their like life tree and everything, and so and they're fading with it as well. We're leading up to what feels like is going to be our own little mini Helm's Deep, where they're in this tower and they're going to get sieged, and then probably what's going to happen is Numenor is going to show up, right at the last minute and save them, and we're going to find out that the storyline of Numenor is like happening a little bit ways back. It'll probably be one of those things where it's like, yeah, we've been at sea for a few days, and here we are now. we have the Harfoots and the Stranger, and now like some weird like priestly looking people have found where the Stranger has landed, and like this dude, like he looks like a pissed off Marshall Mathers. Like Eminem has shown up, and but I don't know what's going on. Like I think. There's part of me that thinks that maybe it's something to do with Sauron, and maybe he's Saruman.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he's a young Saruman, but like I don't understand why Saruman would be so young compared to Gandalf. But who knows? We'll find out. I'm really fucking excited. I love where this is going so far. I've been eating up every episode of it. I don't want to compare it to House of the Dragon because there's such different shows. Mm-hmm. But like for me, I'm looking forward to Rings of Power. Mm-hmm. I watch House of the Dragon to like fill in time.
Right.
Because I didn't make it through the first Game of Thrones. I made it through the first 2 seasons, couple episodes into the 3rd season, and I was just like, you know what? This is too depressing. Everybody's just out to over somebody else, and it just sucks. There's not a single redeemable character. But in Lord of the Rings of Power, you have these like actual heroes that are like, some of them aren't full hero status yet. Halbrand, for instance, but they're on their way up. We know that Isildur is eventually going to be a major hero. He's on his way up. He's a fuck up right now.
Yeah.
But like still, these are like decent people that want to do good in the world. They're not out for personal gain. Right. And so that's the kind of show I like.
Yeah.
Like, it's so depressing when everybody just wants to backstab.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited about this series. I love where it's at so far. I love where it's going. And I can't wait.
Yeah, I agree. I totally love it as well. I haven't seen, it's kind of funny. I don't watch like a ton of like fantasy stuff. I'll watch, some things here and there if it really piques my interest. I don't read a ton of fantasy books. There's like a few that I've read. I wish I could remember the names of them because there's this one that was incredible. I might spend a second looking it up for a second, but it is basically about a young indigenous boy traveling with a wolf pup, and it's incredible. It's the first book that had a map on it that I actually used the map while I was reading the book, and I'm like, oh, they're in a new place.
So cool.
Let me go over to where the map is. Like, oh, they're here. Oh, wow, they traveled far,
shit.
Oh, yeah, like every other, book that I've read books with maps in them, and I'm just like, I'll never look at this. I really don't care that much. So yeah, we're not sponsored in any way, shape, or form.
They know.
Not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by these people or by this author. Michelle Paver wrote a book called Wolf Brother. It's incredible. Phenomenal. It's about it takes place in the middle Stone Ages, and it's about this essentially in somewhat, I guess, indigenous kind of not like an early man, I guess, kind of thing. Anyway, it's phenomenal book. And it's a fantasy book where the main character isn't white. It's I'm pretty sure the main character is described as this brown skin, dark colored kid. Anyway, dark skin tone, but it's phenomenal. First book I read where I actually used the map and everything. Great. But there's a lot of fantasy books that are about people with darker skin and stuff like that that have and now, especially with this, we're gonna hopefully we can see more main characters and more characters who have who aren't just, some white savior kind of shit. And
that's a perfect place to end on this. If the people that have a problem with that, how do you explain the Wizard of Earthsea? The Wizard of Earthsea is literally supposed to be about a dude from an island, and he's supposed to have dark fucking skin.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, for the TV show, they fucking whitewashed it all.
Yeah. Whitewashed the Dragon Ball Z movie, whitewashed Death Note movie, they whitewashed. I mean, there's this movie, and again, I mean,
Last Airbender.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I literally didn't even finish watching that movie. Like, I literally didn't. I tried 3 different times. I started it and stopped it roughly around the same point. No, I think the very first time I stopped it was when they first said "ong." I said nope, and I cut it off. And then after that, I think the second time I stopped it midway was when they first showed Appa, and he had like chicken legs. I stopped it. I cut it off. I said nope. I said, you are not ruining my boy for me. That's my yip motherfucker. Right? I'm yipping the out of here.
I watched the Last Airbender movie before I watched the series.
Oh really? Yeah.
The series is way better.
Oh yeah. By a mile. By a Air Nation mile. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, whitewashing needs to stop. There's this movie called the Forgotten Kingdom, I think, or something like that. No, not Forgotten Kingdom.
No, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the one with Jackie Chan, Jet Li. It takes place in ancient China. But
like
have
it's a white
boy, who loves kung fu movies. Oh, he's a white boy from like the hood in Brooklyn, and he loves kung fu movies, and he gets his butt kicked all the time, and he like travels back in time somehow into ancient China and has to save the ancient Chinese people from this witch and this the Monkey King, evil Monkey King. And it's like, like. I love different kinds of folklore. I'm a huge Monkey King folklore fan. I love that story. And you don't use the Monkey King like that. I'm sorry. But anyway, the point I'm getting at is that whitewashing needs to end, and that my hope is that this inspires. I mean, I already know that there's a ton of fantasy art and fantasy books and media and all that stuff by POC writers and authors and filmmakers and stuff like that. So many people of color have made incredible fantasy works and things like that just don't get the time of day, and I hope that this allows their voices to be heard a lot better. Because we need that. We need more variety in the kinds of elves and dwarves and humans and everything that we see. And again, being biracial, I love the fact that every time the prince, the dwarf, Doran, thank you. I love the fact that Doran and his wife, their kids are biracial. You know what I mean? Like they're a big biracial happy family. Even the half-foot, the Harfoot wife, the chicks, the Poppy or
Nori's stepmom.
Yes, Nori's stepmom. She's also a black woman, and I thought that was phenomenal. I'm like, that's fucking dope. Like, all of it's dope, all of it's great, and I just hope that it inspires more art of more variety and stuff like that. Because we need it. And yeah, this show's incredible. I can't wait for more. We'll probably if you guys want, leave some comments, leave us some likes, all that good stuff, and we can do a wrap up of the final episodes.
We got 3 episodes left.
Yeah,
of the season.
Yeah, we can we can go ahead and do that, and kind of do this like a little halfway point and end point of each, season. I think that would be dope, just to kind of see how it progresses and stuff. But let us know what you guys want to see and stuff like that. These kind of videos, our little, talks and stuff will be out on Sundays on the podcast and on YouTube. And you can check us on Mondays at 7 p.m. on Twitch. So we'll be doing D&D live there, and then those edited episodes will be on the podcast and on YouTube on Tuesdays. So don't miss those, and go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel and stuff like that. And give us a follow over on Twitch if you want. And download the episodes on anywhere you get your podcasts. All right. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.
Good night.